Okay, so today we're going to learn about the movable fingering patterns for major scales that we can apply anywhere up and down the fretboard as long as we know where the root note is. And for A, that is the A note, which we're going to work on today. And how those patterns correspond to chord shapes and therefore the chord tones of the scale that you're playing in. And this is important not just because some songs that you might want to learn are going to be in a major scale format in terms of the soloing, but because you can use these same 5 fingering patterns to adjust your major scale to the Mixolydian or Dorian modes. And which we're going to get to kind of in later sessions, but for now it's just important to learn what those patterns are and the chord tones that they correspond to. So in paper form, here they are. And I want to credit one of my teachers, Paul Murin, who's the guitarist for the Dead Fish Orchestra, for this document. You can see it says highcountryguitar.com at the top. And it's nice and clear, so I wanted to use this one. Paul's amazing, and that website is beyond amazing. Backup tracks to practice jamming on Dead and Fish songs, etc. But anyway, so those are the kind of graphic displays of what I'm going to show you here on the fretboard. And so starting out with the first fingering pattern, which so in the A major scale is going to correspond to the G chord shape. So, and those chord shapes correspond to the open chords that you first learn when you're playing guitar. So for G, that's like this. You move it up 2 frets to make it an A. Okay, and that is the shape, and also the kind of other side of the chord is there. And that is the chord shape that corresponds to this first fingering pattern. So starting with the root note, and here we have the top E string, so go up to, that's an A. And so the first fingering pattern looks like this. There's your next A, 1 octave up. There's your second A, that's 2 octaves up from the first one that we played. Okay, and I'll just walk it back down. Root note, root note, A. Okay, so you'll notice as we go through the scale, the other chord tones, and you'll remember from a prior session that the kind of standard triad chord tones are the 1st, 3rd, and 5th notes of the scale. And so I'm going to emphasize those as I count through the notes of the scale this time. 1, that's the root note. 2, 3, that's the first chord tone after the root, the 3rd note of the scale. 4, 5, okay, so there you have your triad from your 1, 3, 5, okay. 6, 7, 8, which is also the same note as 1, but 1 octave higher, okay? And then in the top half of this fingering pattern that we have here, the first fingering pattern, let's keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to go back down just hitting the chord tones, and this is A, 5, 3, 1, 5, 3, 1. Okay, that's important because when you are jamming, to have some coherence and some melody and some sentiment to your jam, you want to be hovering around those chord tones. It kind of brings it together. It communicates, what you're trying to do to the crowd more effectively than just simply noodling kind of up and down the scale without any reference to those core tones that build your, really the key that you're in. So that was the first position for a major scale, and it corresponds to the G shape of the chord. So we illustrated the chord tones. I'm going to come back, because we're at 5 minutes, and show you the second position, which corresponds to the E shape of the chord. And we're going to do it again in the A major key. Okay, thank you. We'll be right back.